Am I the asshole for not joining my best friend's 70-person WhatsApp with daily photos of her baby? My best friend had a baby and she loves to take and send photos of that baby, which is understandable. Babies are adorable and all-consuming. I live far away from her. Sometimes she sends me like 25 photos at a time. I know she's just wanting to share her life with me, and her kid is the most important part of her life. I am child-free by choice, and while I love my friend's kids, I'm not much of a baby person. I try to love and appreciate babies, but it's always a stretch. I feel bad about this sometimes, but that's just how I feel. My friend is very comfortable starting huge group texts and welcoming lots of crosstalk. When she was in labor, she started a 120-person group WhatsApp, for example. When she has a mental health crisis, she'll start a 30-person group chat with a bunch of people I don't know. In some ways, it's something I admire about her. She's unafraid of asking for support and to be witnessed during the big moments in her life, and she values including people. Other parts of me find this behavior to be kind of entitled. Maybe I'm too afraid to just start a huge group chat about a big thing in my life, and therefore I judge her for it. But I also just find it intrusive. Anyways, recently she added me to a 70-person WhatsApp group for daily photos of her baby. I messaged her that sadly I did not want to participate because I use WhatsApp for work and other things, and I find huge chats overwhelming, but that I'll gladly continue to receive pics in our one-to-one texting. She seemed pretty hurt and pointed out that I have no issue being in another friend's WhatsApp group about her baby. That's true, but that's because that other friend only posts once a month or so and is much more thoughtful about how much she uses the group. I feel this is honestly causing a rift between us. It feels so petty and yet it also feels deep somehow. Sometimes I wonder if I'm just a huge curmudgeon and should have sucked it up and been quietly annoyed about the group but not said anything. However, it's clearly about a deeper issue: the ways in which we feel or don't feel entitled to the attention of others. One last thing to note: she added me to the group during the most important weekend of my career, where I was facilitating a very high-stakes and emotional retreat, which my friend knew about. In some ways, because I am child-free by choice, my career is my baby, but it's not something seen and cherished by others like a baby is. Anyways, I welcome your insights. Thanks. Edit. I followed up with her the other day and said I'd be fine joining, but just gave her the heads up I might leave if it gets overwhelming. She said she'd rather not add me because she doesn't want to feel self-conscious about posting too much. So joining now and muting it is no longer a possibility, sadly. That probably would have been the move. But again, it's more than this one text thread. I find it annoying when she photo dumps 30+ pics and videos at a time and feel like I have to respond in some incredibly thoughtful way, and it just feels like a lot of pressure. Just put that convo on silent, you won't get notifications. I feel like this is really easily to ignore without hurting anyone's feelings. EU not the asshole. If participation is mandatory for social acceptance, it's not friendship, it's an emotional hostage situation. Definitely not the asshole. Honestly, your boyfriend really seems to crave attention. Being in labor and starting a 120-person group chat. What the fuck? As another commenter said, just put the conversation on silent. Respond when you want. Mute the chat and archive it. Check on it once every week or so and just do whatever it was you usually do. And honestly, I kinda think this behavior is attention-seeking, not sharing, but that's me. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Not understanding why someone would not want to get daily photos of anything, anyone, is immature and self-absorbed. I mean, you're not an asshole, but this was a pretty good solution to her sending you a bunch of photos individually and then feeling like you need to be giving a time-sensitive, thoughtful response. 70-person group chats don't usually need that kind of interaction, and you have the option of muting and archiving them. Make your technology work for you. Also, if your friend has that many people she needs to share photos with, a lot of people do ask and complain if you don't send them. Then it totally makes sense to just create a group chat. Same with some big life events where plenty of people want to be kept in the loop. People can mute, leave if they aren't interested, but I'd probably be confused if my self-described best friend wasn't. I think nah. Am I the asshole for scolding my boyfriend for his remarks about my little brothers for watching Hello Kitty? I, F21, and my boyfriend, M22, have been together for around 3 years. I have 2 little brothers, both under the age of 6, and they're the most happy and energetic kids I've ever met. They love a lot of different shows and characters, but they especially love Hello Kitty and Spider-Man, but only the Hello Kitty portion is relevant. I was watching HK with them on the couch. I was babysitting them since my father got a new job and he works night shifts. I put on the episode they asked for and we were all watching it having a good time, and I left them to bring them their toothbrushes. They hate going to the bathroom to brush their teeth. And my boyfriend asked if they really should be watching that. I was really confused and said it's a kids show. He shook his head and clarified he meant HK. I asked why they shouldn't be watching it and he told me that it wasn't masculine and that they should be raised as men and not girls. I told him that there was nothing feminine or masculine about them, that they're kids, and he just rolled his eyes and said something along the lines of, if you want them to grow up to be girly girls with no backbone as adults then it's on you. Be prepared for the coming out talk. I told him to be quiet and that I didn't even feel like talking to him anymore. I got them ready for bed and about an hour later they were both knocked out in deep sleep. I went to my room and got myself prepared to sleep, but I was deeply bothered by his statement, so when we were about to go to sleep I told him to sleep on the couch and he told me to stop playing with him and I told him I was serious. He didn't look like he believed me, so I snapped at him and told him that it's my siblings you're talking about and why do you care when we're all enjoying ourselves. He told me he was sorry very abruptly and closed the door and slept on the couch. It's the next day and he hasn't spoken to me since. Am I the asshole? I feel like I really made him angry because he's never gotten mad at me and this is the longest period we've gone without speaking to one another. Not the asshole. I hope he's an ex-boyfriend by now. A guy that believes that watching Hello Kitty turns you gay has got a serious problem. Dump him before he tries to tell you how a proper feminine woman should act. Not the asshole. It did the next day and he hasn't spoken to me since. Do you really want to hear from his sexist ass again? Red flag here. How would he be if you get married and have boys? Is that how you want him to raise your boys? He is immature and has a toxic view of masculinity. Not the asshole. It wasn't masculine and that they should be raised as men and not girls. No, you're not the asshole. He deserved to be snapped back at in this situation. You're babysitting your siblings and they're more grown up than your boyfriend is. Not the asshole. You've discovered how he'll treat future children. Proceed accordingly. Not the asshole, but your boyfriend is. Ask him more about his views on life, gender and queer people. Does he really believe that watching Hello Kitty makes a kid gay? And even if that was the case, why would that matter to him? He clearly thinks Hello Kitty is for girls. Does he also think that girls don't have a backbone? After he answers those questions, go and ask yourself if you want to date a person who holds those kind of views. Am I the asshole for not taking my 7-month-old daughter to my wife's weekend job? My wife and have a 7-month-old baby. My wife is on mat leave but works Sundays at the local market for 4 hours, about 40 minutes from home. I work a normal MF 9-5. For the last few months, she pumps enough milk throughout the week. We only need 10 ounces max for the weekend, so that I have enough to feed the baby on the day she works. I stay home with baby and it's nice. I get to bond with her and be the primary parent. My wife told me today that she is tired of pumping, and that she wants me to start coming to sit at the market with her so that she can breastfeed the baby. Basically would look after our daughter at the market while she worked. It's serving customers berries and chocolate for a friend's business. When baby wants to eat, the idea is that would take over working while my wife breastfeeds. I drew a line in the sand, and said there is no way I'm okay with that. It would be difficult to look after her, and it basically means I'm working 6 days per week. I suggested we feed her a bottle or two of formula instead, but my wife is absolutely against that in fear that baby will prefer formula. Am I the asshole for refusing to do this? Not the asshole. What's wrong with formula? People need to stop acting like formula is dangerous. Formula is perfectly safe for your baby. Not to mention, this also cuts into your bonding time with the baby. Your wife is kinda being unreasonable. If she wants to directly breastfeed, is tired of pumping and is refusing formula, then she'll need to stay home with the baby. I'm a pediatrician too, FYI. Fed is best. Not the asshole. You work full-time and deserve to have your time with your baby. Also, if you drive 40 minutes one way to bring the baby to her, is it even worth her working the 4 hours since she's already spending 80 minutes herself driving? If your wife doesn't want to pump and is completely against formula, she's just going to have to stop helping out her friend on Sundays. Baby is 7 months, a great time to try out some solids during those daytime hours when mom has to be at work. Cooked pumpkin, mashed banana, applesauce and rice cereal are all age-appropriate foods to introduce baby to. If baby has a nurse before your wife leaves and when she gets home, there is no need to pump. But as someone who nursed for over 5 years, 5 kids, I don't get why pumping once or twice a week is that big of a deal. Is there some other reason she wants you there? Not the asshole. That's an outrageous request. She has 3 reasonable options. 1. Continue pumping as she is now. 2. Switch to formula. 3. Stop working. None of these answers are objectively right or wrong. You two need to sit down and discuss which one is the most preferable. It's crazy to ask you to spend your days off sitting around a store waiting for your kid to get hungry. She needs a bit of a reality check. Not the asshole. You have given her appropriate choices. If she does not like either, she cannot go to work on Sundays. Not the asshole. Your wife's desires are completely understandable, but don't make practical sense and aren't fair to you. Saying this as a female myself.